The Nintendo Switch has basically become the ultimate JRPG machine. And I'm not exaggerating. We're talking about a console that lets you play 100-hour epics on your couch, on the train, wherever. The library is absolutely stacked, with everything from massive AAA adventures to indie gems that punch way above their weight. So, I went through the entire catalog, looked at critical scores, dug through player discussions, figured out which games actually hold up after dozens of hours, and I put together the definitive list of the 30 best JRPGs you can play on Switch right now. We're counting down from 30 to 1. Let's get into it. Okay, so this one's a bit controversial because some people don't even consider it a traditional JRPG. But hear me out. Pokémon Legends Arceus fundamentally changed how Pokémon works, and it absolutely belongs on this list. You're sent back in time to ancient Sinnoh, now called Hisui, when people were genuinely afraid of Pokémon. Your job is to create the region's very first Pokédex, and the way you do that is completely different from any Pokémon game before it. You can catch Pokémon without even battling them. Just sneak through the grass, aim your Pokéball, throw it, done. But when you do fight, the combat uses this cool turn order system based on speed. You've got agile-style moves that hit faster but deal less damage, strong-style moves that hit harder but slow you down. It adds genuine strategy to fights in a way Pokémon never really had before. The open zones are filled with Pokémon that actually react to you. Some run away when they see you. Others, they'll straight up attack you on sight. Alpha Pokémon roam around as mini-bosses with glowing red eyes. It makes the world feel alive in a way the series desperately needed. Now, the graphics aren't amazing, the environments can feel a bit empty, but as an experiment in what Pokémon could become, this was a massive success. It's Pokémon meets survival game, and honestly, it works.
Number 29. Neo: The World Ends With You is one of the most stylish games on this entire list, and I mean that. The art direction is absolutely dripping with personality. You play in modern-day Shibuya, Tokyo, except you're stuck in a deadly game called the Reaper's Game. Survive a week, complete missions, or get erased from existence. No pressure. The combat system is wild. Each party member is assigned to a different button, and you're basically controlling all of them at once. It sounds chaotic because it is, but once it clicks, it's incredibly satisfying. You're building combos across multiple characters, timing your attacks to create these massive damage chains. The soundtrack is phenomenal, a mix of J-pop, rock, hip-hop that fits the urban setting perfectly. And the story goes places. It's weird, it's emotional, and it definitely rewards you for paying attention to all the character relationships. The downside, the pacing can drag in the middle. Some chapters feel padded. But if you're looking for something that doesn't look or play like anything else on this list, this is it.
Number 28. Suikoden 1 and 2 HD Remaster. Okay, this one is a big deal. Suikoden 1 and 2 are legendary, like genuinely legendary. These games were incredibly hard to find for years. Physical copies were going for hundreds of dollars. And now they're both on Switch in one package with quality of life improvements. Both games follow young heroes caught in massive political wars. But here's what makes Suikoden special. The 108 Stars of Destiny system. You recruit a huge cast of characters, over 100 of them, and they actually change your world. As you recruit more people, your headquarters grows from an abandoned fort into a thriving community, with shops, mini-games, even its own battle arena. Combat uses a 6-character party system with formation strategies and powerful team-up attacks. There are also large-scale army battles where you command units against enemy forces. It's this mix of personal story and massive warfare that makes these games feel so epic. Suikoden 2, in particular, is considered one of the greatest JRPGs ever made. The story about childhood friends torn apart by war, it hits hard. There are emotional moments in this game that people still talk about decades later. The remaster adds autosave, conversation logs, double-speed battles, and enhanced effects while keeping the beautiful sprite art intact. If you've never played these, this is the best way to experience them.
Number 27. Tales of Vesperia is a fan favorite for a reason, and that reason is mostly Yuri Lowell. The main character in this game is genuinely interesting. He's not your typical JRPG hero who wants to save the world out of pure goodness. He's more of a vigilante type who does what he thinks is right, even when it's morally questionable. The Definitive Edition includes all the content that was originally Japan exclusive, plus new costumes and features, so you're getting the complete experience here. Combat is real-time action. You're running around the battlefield, attacking with combos, using special moves called artes. It's fast, it's flashy, and the whole party fights alongside you with AI you can customize. When you get the timing down and start chaining moves together, it feels great. The story follows Yuri and his ragtag group as they get pulled into a conspiracy involving the Empire and a mysterious guild. It's classic JRPG stuff, but the character interactions elevate it. The voice acting is solid, the dialogue is genuinely funny at times, and the ensemble cast has good chemistry. There are some occasional frame rate issues on Switch, and the game's structure can feel dated, but as a complete package, it's one of the best Tales games, period.
Number 26. Final Fantasy XII was controversial when it first came out. It didn't play like the other Final Fantasy games. But you know what? It's aged incredibly well. And the Zodiac Age is the definitive version. The setting is this political powder keg. You've got empires, sky pirates, political intrigue, war. It feels more like Star Wars meets Game of Thrones than typical Final Fantasy. The story is grounded, the stakes feel real, and it treats you like an adult. The Gambit system is the star here. Instead of manually controlling every action, you program your party members with conditional commands. If enemy HP is below 30%, use this attack. If ally is poison, use antidote. It's like writing simple code for your team. Once you get it set up, watching your party execute your strategy automatically is incredibly satisfying. The Zodiac Age version adds the job system where each character picks from 12 classes like Black Mage, Archer, Knight. There's a fast forward button for grinding, remastered soundtrack, better visuals, all the improvements this game needed to become what it was always meant to be. Some people find the main character, Vaughn, kind of bland. Fair criticism, but the supporting cast carries it. And the world of Ivalice is genuinely one of the most interesting settings in the entire franchise.
Number 25, Final Fantasy 1 through 6 Pixel Remaster. This is 6 games in one collection, 6. And these are the games that basically invented the JRPG as we know it. The Pixel Remasters are the definitive way to play the early Final Fantasy games. They've got beautifully redone sprites that capture the original aesthetic while looking crisp on modern screens. The soundtracks have been completely re-recorded. Quality of life improvements everywhere. Autosave, mini-maps, encounter toggles. Final Fantasy IV is the one that introduced the active time battle system and gave us one of the most emotional stories in the series. Final Fantasy VI? Many people consider it the best one ever. Kefka as a villain, the opera scene, the world of ruin, these are moments that define the genre. Even the first 3 games, which can feel simple by today's standards, are worth experiencing for the historical context alone. This is where it all started. Look, some hardcore fans prefer the GBA versions or the PSP versions for various reasons, but if you're coming in fresh and want to see why Final Fantasy became the juggernaut that it is, start here. Number 24. Unicorn Overlord came out of nowhere and immediately became one of the best strategy RPGs in years. Vanillaware made this, the same studio behind Dragon's Crown and 13 Sentinels, and you can tell, the 2D art is absolutely gorgeous. Like some of the best looking sprites you'll ever see in a video game. You play as Prince Elaine, the rightful heir to a conquered kingdom, building a liberation army to take back your homeland. Classic setup, executed brilliantly. The gameplay is this unique mix of real-time strategy and automated combat. You form squads of up to 6 units, move them across big battlefields like chess pieces. When squads clash, combat happens automatically based on tactics you set up beforehand. You're deciding things like when each unit uses their abilities, what conditions trigger certain moves, so you feel like a general actually orchestrating everything. There are over 60 recruitable characters across 5 nations: knights, archers, mages, griffin riders, beast warriors. The customization is insane. You can spend hours just theory crafting the perfect squad compositions. The downside, battles can feel repetitive after a while, and the story doesn't quite live up to the mechanical depth. But
but man, when your strategy comes together and you watch your units execute it flawlessly, nothing else feels quite like it.
Number 23. Live Alive was a hidden gem that most people outside Japan never got to play until Square Enix remade it in HD 2D, and it's one of the most creative JRPGs ever made. Instead of one long story, you get 7 separate chapters set in different time periods. Prehistoric times where your caveman has to rescue his friend, feudal Japan with a ninja infiltrating a castle, the Wild West building to a showdown, a near-future chapter that plays like a fighting game training arc, even a distant future on a spaceship with horror vibes. Each chapter has its own gameplay style that fits the setting. The ninja chapter is basically a stealth game where you can avoid most fights or take everyone out. The Wild West chapter has you setting traps and preparing for a final battle. It keeps reinventing itself. Combat happens on a small grid where positioning matters. Each character has unique abilities with different area of effect patterns. It's simple but satisfying. Then, all the chapters converge in a final story that ties everything together in a way I won't spoil. Some chapters are definitely stronger than others, and it's relatively short at around 25-30 hours total. But as an experiment in JRPG storytelling, this game was way ahead of its time.
Number 22, Ni no Kuni, The Wrath of the White Witch. Ni no Kuni is the Studio Ghibli JRPG, and I mean that literally. Ghibli animated the cutscenes, designed the characters, helped create the world. Playing this game feels like stepping into a Miyazaki film. You play as Oliver, a young boy who loses his mother and discovers that a parallel world might hold the key to saving her. It's heartfelt. It deals with grief in a way that's genuinely touching without being manipulative. The emotional core of this game is rock solid. Combat mixes real-time action with monster collection. You capture familiars and train them to fight alongside you, similar to Pokémon but with direct control during battles. You're dodging attacks, positioning, switching between familiars based on elemental weaknesses. The world design is magical. Bright colors, whimsical towns, creatures that look like they walked out of a children's storybook. Everything has this handcrafted charm that modern games rarely capture. The AI companions can be frustrating. They burn through healing items like crazy and sometimes make baffling decisions in combat. The pacing in the second half also drags a bit, but if you want a JRPG that actually feels magical, this delivers.
Number 21, Xenoblade Chronicles 3, Future Redeemed. Future Redeemed is DLC, but it's substantial enough that I'm counting it separately. This is the conclusion to the entire Xenoblade Chronicles saga. If you've played 1, 2, and 3, this is the payoff. It brings back characters from across the trilogy and finally answers questions that have been building for 3 games. I can't say too much without spoilers, but if you care about Xenoblade's lore at all, this is essential. The gameplay is refined Xenoblade 3. Same combat system with arts and positioning, but new party members with their own mechanics. It's set in a new open area that's packed with secrets to discover and challenging fights to overcome. You're looking at around 20 to 30 hours of content for DLC. That's a full game's worth by some standards. And the emotional payoff in the story? Chef's kiss. Obviously, you need to have played Xenoblade 3 minimum, ideally all 3 games. If you haven't, this will mean nothing to you. But for fans, this is exactly what we wanted.
Number 20, Disgaea is for a very specific type of player. If you like grinding, if you like seeing numbers get absurdly high, if you want to spend hundreds of hours optimizing a single character, this series is your paradise. Disgaea 4 has you playing as Valva Torres, a vampire who's fallen from power and now works as a Prinny instructor in the Netherworld. The story is ridiculous in the best way. It's comedy, it's over the top, and it doesn't take itself seriously at all. Combat is tactical, grid-based, but what makes Disgaea special is the insane customization. Level caps in the thousands, damage numbers in the billions. Item World lets you literally go inside equipment to level it up through randomly generated dungeons. You can spend more time in the post-game than the main story, easily. The Complete Plus version includes all DLC scenarios and characters. It's everything Disgaea 4 in one package. This isn't for everyone. If you don't enjoy grinding or min-maxing, you'll bounce off hard. But if you're the type who wants to break a game's systems completely and reach absurd power levels, Disgaea will happily let you do that for hundreds of hours. Number 19, Triangle Strategy is for players who want their choices to actually matter. This is a tactical RPG where your decisions shape
the entire story. And I mean genuinely shape it. You're Sirona Wolfort, a young lord caught between three nations fighting over salt and iron. Yeah, salt and iron. The game treats these resources as seriously as oil in the real world. It's political, it's complex, and it doesn't hold your hand through any of it. The conviction system is the hook. At major story points, your party holds a vote on what to do, and you have to actually convince your allies to see things your way using information you've gathered. You can't just pick the option you want. You have to persuade people. It makes every choice feel earned. Combat is on 3D grid-based maps where terrain matters. Height advantage is huge. Elemental interactions, flanking. Each character has a fixed class, but grows more powerful as they use their abilities, so you're encouraged to stick with your favorites rather than constantly swapping. The HD 2D art style looks incredible. Pixel characters with modern lighting and 3D environments, multiple endings based on your choices give it serious replay value. It's slow. The story can be dense with political exposition. Not everyone will have the patience for it, but if you want a strategy game that treats you like an intelligent adult, this is one of the best.
Number 18. Final Fantasy IX was designed as a love letter to the series' roots. After 7 and 8 went sci-fi, 9 brought back high fantasy, castles, magic, airships, a world that feels like a storybook come to life. You play as Zidane, a thief who's part of a theater troupe that's actually a cover for kidnapping a princess, except the princess wants to be kidnapped. Things get complicated from there. The story deals with identity, mortality, what it means to truly live. Heavy themes wrapped in a charming package. The cast is beloved for a reason. Vivi, the black mage, questioning his own existence. Steiner, the bumbling knight. Freya, the dragoon with her tragic backstory. Every character feels distinct and gets their moment to shine. Combat is classic active time battle. Turn-based, but with timers adding urgency. Each character has a unique ability type. Zidane steals, Vivi casts black magic, Steiner hits things really hard. Simple, but effective. The Switch port has some quality of life options like fast forward and battle assistance if you just want the story. The backgrounds can look muddy because they're upscaled from the original PlayStation version, but the character models hold up, and the heart of the game is as strong as ever.
Number 17. Super Mario RPG is back, and this remake is exactly what it needed to be. Faithful to the original, while looking absolutely gorgeous with new visuals that have this claymation charm, Mario teams up with the most unlikely party you could imagine. Bowser joins you, a cloud named Mallow, a possessed doll named Geno, who became a cult favorite from this one game. You're fighting a new villain, the Smithy Gang, who've shattered the Star Road and taken over Bowser's castle. Combat is turn-based, but keeps you engaged with timed button presses. Hit the button at the right moment during attacks, more damage. Time your defense, less damage taken. It's simple, but it makes every single turn feel interactive. The humor is peak Nintendo. Fourth wall breaks, physical comedy, Bowser being a reluctant ally who's mad about losing his castle. It's genuinely funny, in a way Nintendo games often aren't. At 15 to 20 hours, it's short. Some people see that as a negative. I see it as a game that respects your time and doesn't overstay its welcome. Perfect entry point for anyone new to JRPGs. Accessible, charming, polished.
Number 16. The Legend of Heroes Trails from Zero. The Trails series has some of the deepest world building in the entire genre. Trails from Zero is the start of the Crossbell duology, and it's one of the best entry points if you're curious about this franchise. You play as Lloyd Bannings, joining the Special Support Section, basically a ragtag police unit in Crossbell City. Crossbell is an independent state caught between two military superpowers who both want to control it. The political situation is tense. Your job is to help citizens, solve cases, and figure out what's really going on. What starts as local investigations slowly builds into something much bigger. Conspiracies, ancient technology, deep connections to events in other Trails games. The storytelling here is methodical. It takes its time, but when the payoffs hit, they hit hard. Combat is grid-based, with a visible turn order. You can plan around bonus turns that give extra effects. The orbment system lets you customize magic loadouts with elemental quartz. It's strategic without being overwhelming.
I'll be honest, there's a barrier to entry with this series. It's very text-heavy. Some fans say you need to play the Sky trilogy first to fully appreciate everything. That's a lot of games, but if you want world building that treats NPCs like actual people with their own lives, nothing else comes close.
Number 15, 13 Sentinels Aegis Rim is unlike anything else on this list. It's technically a hybrid of visual novel and real-time strategy, but the story is the main attraction here. And what a story it is. You follow 13 different protagonists across multiple timelines. Past, present, future, science fiction concepts get layered on top of each other. Time travel, alternate realities, kaiju attacks, high school drama. It sounds like a mess. It's not. It's meticulously constructed, and piecing together how everything connects is genuinely thrilling. The visual novel sections have you exploring 2D environments, talking to characters, uncovering plot threads. The RTS sections have you deploying Sentinels, giant mechs to defend against waves of enemies. The strategy is fun, but straightforward. It's there to break up the narrative sections, not be the main draw. Vanillaware's art is stunning. As always, every frame looks hand-painted. The characters are expressive. The sci-fi imagery is gorgeous. If you need deep combat to stay engaged, this might not be for you. But if you love a mystery, if you want a story that respects your intelligence and rewards paying attention, this is one of the best narratives in gaming, period.
Number 14. Final Fantasy X is where a lot of people fell in love with the series. It was the first mainline entry on PS2, the first with voice acting, and it told one of the most emotional stories in the franchise. You're Tidus, a star athlete from a futuristic city who gets transported to Spira, a world living under the constant threat of a monster called Shin. You join Yuna, a summoner, on a pilgrimage to defeat Shin, knowing full well what that pilgrimage will cost her. The romance between Tidus and Yuna is the heart of the game. That ending still gets people. Combat uses the conditional turn-based battle system. No ATB timers. You see the turn order, plan accordingly, swap party members mid-fight. It's thoughtful and strategic. The sphere grid progression system lets you choose how to build each character. X2 is the sequel, and it's different. Way more upbeat, job-based combat, more fan service. Some people love it, some people can't stand the tonal shift. But the battle system is genuinely excellent. The HD Remastered includes both games, all international content, and enhanced visuals. Tidus's voice acting and the Blitzball minigame remained controversial to this day. But the emotional journey, the world of Spira, the themes of faith and sacrifice, that's the real deal.
Number 13, Star Ocean: The Second Story R. This is how you do a remake. They took a PlayStation classic and completely rebuilt it with HD 2D graphics while keeping the soul of the original intact. It's basically Star Trek meets fantasy JRPG. You choose between Claude, an Earth Federation officer, or Rena, a girl from an underdeveloped planet. Quad crashes on Rena's world, gets caught up in local events, and discovers a threat that spans the galaxy. Your choice of protagonist changes perspective and romance options. Combat is real-time action with special techniques you chain into combos. The remake adds modern improvements without gutting what made the original work. It's fast, flashy, and has surprising depth once you start experimenting with party compositions. The private action system lets you split from your party in towns and have one-on-one conversations with characters. These affect relationships and can unlock different endings. Over 80 different endings, actually. That's insane replay value. The visuals are stunning. That HD 2D style with the detailed 3D backgrounds and sprite characters just works. Some voice acting can be hit or miss, and the story does the classic JRPG thing of starting slow, but as a complete package, one of the best remakes Square Enix has ever done.
Number 12. Shin Megami Tensei V Vengeance is the definitive version of one of the most challenging JRPGs on Switch. If Persona is the stylish, social-focused spin-off, mainline SMT is the brutal, demon-negotiating big brother. You're a high school student who gets transported to Dayat, a post-apocalyptic wasteland version of Tokyo overrun by demons. You fuse with a mysterious being to become a Nahobino, a forbidden entity with power that angels and demons both fear. Now you're caught in a war between divine factions, and your choices determine the fate of existence. The press-turn combat system is brutally strategic. Hit an enemy's weakness, you get extra turns. Land a critical, same thing. But here's the catch. Enemies play by the same rules. One mistake can snowball into a party wipe instantly. The difficulty doesn't mess around. Demon negotiation lets you recruit demons to your team by talking to them mid-battle. They'll ask for items, money, have philosophical debates. It's weird and wonderful. Then you fuse demons together to create stronger ones with inherited skills. The customization here is insane. Vengeance adds an entirely new story route with new characters and areas, better quality of life features like free saving and fast travel, 2 full campaigns worth of content. The atmosphere is unmatched. This unsettling, almost horror-adjacent vibe permeates everything. The open world can feel sparse in places, and the story is slower burn than Persona. But for players who want a JRPG that will genuinely challenge them, this delivers.
Number 11. Xenoblade Chronicles 2 is a massive game in every sense. Massive world, massive story, massive playtime, and massive performance issues that we need to talk about. You play as Rex, a salvager living on the back of giant titans that people use as continents in a world of endless clouds. He bonds with Pyra, a legendary blade, and sets off to find Elysium, a paradise that may or may not exist. The story goes to emotional places. The relationship between Rex and Pyra is the heart of it all. Combat is real-time with auto attacks, while you position characters and trigger arts manually. The blade system has you bonding with different weapons that come with their own abilities and elements. It takes a while to click, like genuinely, the game takes hours to fully explain its systems. But once it does, it's satisfying. The world design is incredible. These titans you live on are completely distinct environments. The music is some of the best in the entire genre. The scope of what they're attempting here is ambitious as hell. Now, the performance. In handheld mode, the resolution tanks hard. We're talking 15-20 FPS in some areas. Docked is better, but still not great. The anime aesthetic with gacha-style blade designs isn't for everyone either. Look, the technical issues are real, but the vision here, the story, the music, the sheer ambition. For players who can look past the rough spots, this is one of the most rewarding JRPGs on the system.
Number 10, Persona 4 Golden. We're in the top 10 now, and Persona 4 Golden absolutely deserves to be here. This is one of the most beloved JRPGs ever made, and the Switch port is excellent. You're a city kid spending a year in the rural town of Inaba with your uncle and cousin. Shortly after arriving, a series of murders begins. Victims keep appearing hanging from TV antennas. You and your new friends discover you can enter a world inside televisions where people's suppressed emotions manifest as dungeons. Now, you're solving a murder mystery by rescuing people from their own psychological shadows. The game splits between dungeon crawling and daily life. You attend school, get part-time jobs, build relationships through social links, manage your time between studying and hanging out with friends. Everything you do feeds back into the dungeon crawling half. Stronger bonds mean stronger personas. Combat focuses on exploiting weaknesses. Hit an enemy with an element they're weak to, extra turn, knock them down. Get them all down, all-out attack for massive damage. Your main character can switch between multiple personas you create through fusion. It's the system Persona 5 would later refine to perfection. The character writing is exceptional. The investigation team feels like a genuine friend group. The small town setting gives everything an intimate feel. The tone is lighter than Persona 5, but the themes still hit. Identity, acceptance, finding truth. The dungeons are more basic than Persona 5's elaborate palaces, randomly generated floors. It shows its PSP origins, but the mystery, the characters, the jazz-infused soundtrack, this is a classic for good reason.
Number 9. Octopath Traveler 2 fixes basically every complaint people had about the first game. The characters actually interact now. The stories connect in meaningful ways, and the HD 2D visuals somehow look even better. 8 new protagonists, each with their own stories. A merchant investigating her family's downfall. A dancer escaping a controlling situation. A hunter tracking a legendary beast. A thief seeking truth. Each character has 5 chapters now instead of 4, and there are cross-path scenarios where 2 travelers team up for special storylines. The break and boost combat system is refined to near perfection. Every enemy has shields with specific weaknesses. Hit those weaknesses enough times, and you break their defense, leaving them vulnerable. Boost points accumulate each turn, letting you power up attacks or hit multiple times. It's turn-based combat that constantly asks you to make interesting decisions. The new latent power system gives each character a unique ultimate ability that charges during battle. The merchant can hire NPCs you've met to attack. The hunter commands captured monsters. It adds another layer to strategize around. Day and night cycles change how you interact with the world. Different path actions available at different times. Traversal options like sailing and climbing open up exploration. Some stories are definitely stronger than others. The early hours tutorializing systems can feel overwhelming, but as a sequel, this is how you iterate better in almost every way.
Number 8. Chained Echoes was made by essentially one person. Let that sink in. Matthias Linde grew up making fan games of classic JRPGs, and his lifelong goal was to create what he considered the perfect JRPG. He actually did it. 3 kingdoms just ended a long war, but ancient mechs called Sky Armors are awakening, and something bigger threatens everything. You follow a group of mercenaries who get caught up in events way beyond them. The story starts with a catastrophic event that you're responsible for, and it shapes how you view the main character for the entire game. Really smart character writing. Combat doesn't use traditional experience points. Your stats increase based on performance in battles, and you grow stronger through equipment and skill upgrades. The overdrive system is key. There's a meter that shifts between underdrive, normal, and overdrive based on what actions you take. Stay in overdrive for bonuses, fall into underdrive for penalties. It creates this constant tension about which abilities to use when. Later, you get mechs you can fight in and fly around the world with. Full airship, classic JRPG stuff done right. The 16-bit pixel art is gorgeous, the pacing is tight, around 40-50 hours, without any grinding or filler, no random encounters. You see enemies and choose to engage. Some people found the art style less appealing than something like Sea of Stars. The difficulty can spike in certain areas, but as an indie accomplishment, this stands alongside AAA efforts easily.
Number 7. Sea of Stars. This is what happens when developers study what made Chrono Trigger special and apply those lessons to a modern game. The Chrono influence is everywhere. The art style, the combat timing, even the composer who worked on the original. You follow Valor and Zale, 2 children born during a solstice who are trained as solstice warriors. They're the only people capable of using sun and moon magic to fight the Dweller of Woe and its monsters. The story spans thousands of years of conflict, with twists that recontextualize everything you thought you knew. Combat uses timed hits similar to Super Mario RPG. Press the button at the right moment to deal more damage or reduce incoming attacks. Every battle stays engaging because you're always actively participating. Enemies have lock icons showing what damage types you need to hit them with before they unleash powerful attacks. You have to coordinate your party's actions to break those locks in time. Abilities cost combo points that the whole party shares, generated by landing normal attacks and timing them perfectly. The visuals are absolutely stunning. Vibrant pixel art with modern lighting effects, detailed animations, environments that pop with color. No random encounters. Heal your party anytime outside combat using camping supplies. 0 grinding required. The pacing is tight from start to finish. Some players felt the writing was a bit simple. The character dialogue can lean generic at times. But as a modernized take on 16-bit classics, this absolutely delivers on its promise.
Number 6. Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition. The original Xenoblade Chronicles is a landmark JRPG. It basically saved Monolith Soft as a studio and proved that massive, ambitious JRPGs could still find an audience in the modern era. The Definitive Edition is the best way to experience it. The premise is wild. Humanity lives on the body of a frozen giant called the Bionis. Another giant, the Mechonis, is home to machines that want to destroy all organic life. The scale of this world is unlike anything else. You're literally traversing a titan's body from the leg to the arm to the head.
Shulk, the main character, wields the Minato, a legendary blade that can see the future. This ties directly into gameplay. You get visions of enemy attacks before they happen and have to position your party to prevent them. It creates this satisfying loop of prediction and reaction. Combat is real-time with auto attacks while you manage positioning and trigger arts. Party synergy matters. Chain attacks let you coordinate devastating combos when executed correctly. The Definitive Edition adds completely redone character models that actually show emotion now. Quality of life improvements everywhere. A new epilogue chapter, Future Connected, gives you more content after the main story. The side quests are not great. A lot of them are tedious fetch quests that pad runtime. If you try to do everything, you'll burn out. Focus on the story and exploration. But that story is incredible. The twists, the character arcs, the sheer ambition of the world building. This is essential JRPG playing. All right, top 5. These are the absolute elite, the best of the best on Nintendo Switch.
Number 5. Fire Emblem Three Houses sold over 4 million copies and completely revitalized the franchise. It blends tactical combat with life simulation in a way that's absurdly addictive. You're a mercenary who becomes a professor at Garreg Mach Monastery's Officer Academy. 3 houses, Black Eagles, Blue Lions, Golden Deer. Each one has different students with their own personalities, backstories, and abilities. Your choice dramatically changes the story when war breaks out and your former students become your enemies. The game splits between monastery sections and tactical battles. During free time, you train students, build relationships through tea parties and gifts, explore, manage resources. Then you deploy into grid-based combat where positioning, weapon triangle advantages, and class abilities determine victory. The class system is flexible. Any character can potentially become any class if you train the right skills. Turn your mage into a mounted unit. Make your knight fly. The customization's deep. Permadeath is optional through casual mode, but on classic, losing a character you built a relationship with hurts. That's the Fire Emblem experience. The game initially presents itself as morally gray with complex political drama. Some players feel the endings simplify things too much, turning nuanced characters into clear heroes and villains. Route repetition can wear thin since you're retreading similar content. But man, getting attached to your students, watching them grow, then seeing those relationships tested by war, that's powerful stuff. Multiple playthroughs, easily 150 plus hours. One of the most important Switch exclusives. Number 4. Nier Automata is one of the most unique games ever made, and somehow it runs shockingly well on Switch. Distant future. Aliens have used machines to drive humanity to the moon. You play as android soldiers 2B and 9S, fighting to reclaim Earth. Sounds straightforward? It's not. This game asks deep philosophical questions about consciousness, purpose, what it means to be alive. And it does it while making you question everything you think you know. The gameplay constantly shifts. One moment, it's a fast-paced action game with dodges and combos, then it becomes a twin-stick shooter, then a 2D platformer. It's always reinventing itself mechanically while telling its story. You can equip different weapon combinations and plug-in chips that customize everything from health regeneration to the entire HUD. Remove your OS chip, you die. The game literally lets you break itself if you're not careful. Here's the thing about Nier. You have to beat it multiple times to see the real story. Each playthrough reveals new perspectives, new information that completely changes your understanding of events. There are something like 26 different endings, though only a few are the main ones. The soundtrack is legendary. Haunting vocals, orchestral arrangements that hit your emotions like a truck. The Switch port runs at 30 FPS. If you're coming from other platforms, that might be an adjustment, but considering what they got running on this hardware, it's impressive. This game isn't just a JRPG. It's an experience that stays with you. If you haven't played it, fix that.
Number 3. Xenoblade Chronicles 3 represents everything Monolith Soft learned from the previous games. It's the most polished, most narratively mature entry in the series. Two nations, Kevs and Agnes, have been at eternal war. Soldiers on both sides only live for 10 years before being released in a ceremony. You play as Noah and Mio, soldiers from opposite sides, who discover the truth about their world and decide to fight back together. It's a story about life, death, and finding purpose when everything is designed to prevent you from questioning anything. Combat is real-time with auto attacks while you position characters and trigger arts. The class system lets characters learn jobs from each other, meaning anyone can eventually fill any role. The Ouroboros system lets two characters fuse together into a powerful form with its own unique moveset. It's sick. The world is massive, Different biomes, weather systems, monsters ranging from tiny creatures to building-sized beasts that will destroy you if you engage too early. Exploration rewards curiosity at every turn. The British voice acting remains a standout. Characters feel genuine, their relationships feel earned, the emotional moments hit because you spent dozens of hours with these people. The soundtrack is phenomenal, some of the best music in any JRPG. It takes a while for combat systems to fully open up. The beginning hours are tutorial heavy, some side content can feel like filler, but as a complete experience, this is Monolith Soft operating at the height of their powers. One of the best JRPGs of the decade, no question.
Number 2. Dragon Quest XI-S is proof that traditional JRPGs aren't dead. This game takes the classic formula and executes it to near perfection. You're the Luminary, the reincarnation of a legendary hero destined to save the world from darkness. On your coming-of-age ceremony, instead of being celebrated, the king brands you a traitor. So begins a journey to understand your true purpose while gathering companions and uncovering an ancient evil. The story might seem simple at first: chosen hero, save the world. Classic stuff. But around the halfway point, something happens that completely changes everything. I won't spoil it. Just know that your understanding of the early events gets recontextualized in a major way. Turn-based combat? Classic Dragon Quest. But the PEP system adds depth. Characters enter powered-up states after taking or dealing damage, enabling special combination attacks between party members. You can swap between 8 party members mid-battle, keeping only 4 active. Each character has unique skill trees where you spend points to unlock abilities. Forging system lets you craft equipment at campsites, monster mounts for faster travel, casino games, horse racing, tons to do. A curatoried artist character designs give everything that Dragon Ball charm. The world is vibrant, the towns are full of life, the NPCs have personality. The original soundtrack was criticized for being MIDI quality. Definitive Edition fixed that. Some find the gameplay too old school, too safe. That's fair. But if you want a game that proves the classics are still great, if you want 100+ hours of charming, heartfelt JRPG adventure, this is the quintessential experience. Number 1. Persona 5 Royal, the highest rated JRPG on Switch, and honestly, it earned that spot. You're a high school student falsely accused of assault, put on probation, sent to Tokyo in disgrace. Then you discover the metaverse, a cognitive world where corrupt adults' twisted desires manifest as palaces filled with shadows. You form the Phantom Thieves with other outcast students, infiltrating these palaces to steal hearts and force criminals to confess their sins. The style. My God, the style. This game has some of the best art direction and UI design in gaming history. Every menu, every transition, every piece of the interface drips with personality. The acid jazz and J-pop soundtrack is instantly iconic. You will have these songs stuck in your head for weeks. The calendar system gives you limited time. Each day you decide what to do. Infiltrate dungeons, study to improve knowledge, work a part-time job, build relationships with confidants. Everything feeds back into your capabilities. Stronger bonds mean stronger personas, new abilities, combat options. Combat is turn-based, focused on exploiting weaknesses, hit an enemy with an element they're weak to, extra turn, knock them down, get them all down, negotiate for items, recruit them, or execute an all-out attack. Your main character wields multiple personas created through fusion, giving you infinite customization. The dungeons are handcrafted, not randomly generated. Each palace is themed around its owner's distorted desires. An abusive gym teacher's palace is a castle where students are slaves. A corrupt artist palace is a museum showcasing his plagiarized work. The theming is consistent and clever throughout. Royal adds a new semester, new confidants, new areas, new persona abilities, quality of life improvements everywhere. The definitive way to experience this game. It's long, over 100 hours. Some people will bounce off that commitment. The endgame pacing can drag in spots. Certain plot points require suspension of disbelief. But here's the thing, those 100+ hours don't feel padded. The social simulation keeps refreshing the experience. The style keeps you engaged. The characters become people you genuinely care about. The
The Switch port runs great. Fast load times, stable performance, perfect for portable play where you can chip away at it session by session. This is what happens when developers port everything they have into a vision. The best JRPG on Nintendo Switch. One of the best games ever made, period.
And that's the list. 30 incredible JRPGs that prove the Switch is the ultimate platform for the genre. From 100-hour epics to streamlined indie gems, from action combat to tactical grids. Whatever kind of JRPG experience you're looking for, it's on this console. Let me know in the comments which games you've played, which ones you're adding to your backlog, and what you think I got wrong, because you definitely have opinions. I want to hear them. If you found this helpful, hit that like button, subscribe for more JRPG content. I'll see you in the next one.